Well, as it seems, centrism is actually known to people. However, I don't see the same reaction from everyone. A lot of people from the left and the right have criticized centrism and have opened a so-called third front against the ideology. I want to tackle these flaws of centrism and at the end explain why centrism is indeed the best option for democracy. The most common anti-centrist argument I know of is stating that centrists have no real views and that they only believe in compromise between the two sides of the extreme. The claim is that this is only taking the middle ground, which then leads to an ineffective policy. Okay, to say that this definition is wrong would be a major understatement. It kind of seems like these people have little to no knowledge about the political center and just assume what it is. I once went across a comment that said I was too lazy to learn what each side of the political spectrum was.
Well, allow me to retort.
Centrism is a mix of political views. If you have beliefs that are far right on one set of issues, but also have far left beliefs on another same number of issues, I'm sorry to say this, but you are indeed a centrist. I mean, we also take part in debates and express our view of solving problems. We choose the best or most rational view that we find in our subjective opinions. I like to think of it this way. Whenever a law needs to be passed and the political sides have a debate over who has the better hand, liberals and conservatives will battle it amongst each other. Centrists are like the new recruits who will choose whatever side sounds the most rational to them. If there is a political debate over whether wealthy people should pay more taxes and the majority of centrists have a liberal stance on it, they will argue why higher taxes for them are needed. If there is a debate on immigration laws and the majority of centrists feel that tighter immigration laws are needed, then the conservatives will be boosted on the matter. The second argument I want to respond to is that centrists only believe in the status quo, implying that they never debate. Again, no, that is not true at all. Centrists don't even have to agree on everything. Two people can have opposite views but still be centrists. I believe that we should have renewable energy, but I oppose same-sex marriage. I can come across a centrist who doesn't believe in renewable energy but supports same-sex marriage. So how would we resolve our differences then? Now this one is absolutely lovely. It states that centrists have no principles other than the ones given to them. Okay, I find this claim pretty funny because it actually goes the other way around. The problem with ideologies are not the ideologies themselves, but guidance. A conservative, for example, is more likely to side with other conservatives even if they don't know much about the subject they're debating, because apparently that's how conservatives are supposed to behave. Centrists at least debate the idea and inform themselves before taking either a liberal or conservative view on the situation. It's easy to argue that centrists have a more analytical approach than the two sides, who will often blindly follow their party's ideology and demonize anyone who does not agree with them. The right criticizes the center for being too far left, and the left criticizes the center for not being left enough.
The way we're going to do something better is by looking at the segment of the population that is unrepresented in the political system, and that's folks in the middle. Now, it also so happens that folks in the middle are the pragmatists who probably have the most traction towards solving the real issues that we care about.
To explain why centrism is the best option, I will ask a question. Do you know that moment when a child wants to eat junk food and the parents say that you can only eat so much of it so that you don't rot your teeth or get fat? Well, that is a pure example of moderacy. Everything must be taken in a moderate quantity. As an example, I want to apply that in the most important factor that the people pay attention to during an election or referendum. And that is how the economy will look like after. One of the biggest debates that the left and right have is how big of a role should the government of a nation have on the economy. Liberals believe that a large government will be good for society because they can always bail out corporations when needed and provide additional funds for people who might need them. In his first term, President Obama asked Congress to pass a law that would require the government to step into the affairs of large corporations like General Motors should it encounter financial problems, and it passed. However, what they don't seem to realize is that the more power a government has, the more corrupt it will become. They will make all their deals under the table and secretly take more for themselves under the cover that they hit a recession. That is why communist governments have never succeeded and have only been uncovered to be multi-party dictatorships. In the 2008 recession, many governments bailed out failing banks, which only sped up that recession. The only nations that didn't want to bail out the banks were Iceland and Poland. On the other hand, conservatives seem to have a more protectionist view on the economy. They don't want a lot of connection to the outside world because they fear that jobs might end up leaving the country. They also seem to believe that every dollar or euro is truly unjustly earned, and they believe in a smaller government. Their desire is to give lower taxes and benefits to the rich because they are seen as the biggest employers, and that the more money they have, the more people they can hire, and the easier it will be to run a business properly. However, most economists will tell you that this is not the case, and it is the middle class that must receive the most benefits and not the wealthy. What conservatives need to learn is that large corporations don't care if people have jobs, nor do they care for production or giving people what they need. They only care about one thing, and that thing is money. Even if it will give them more money, they are still willing to take part in scandals, and they pretty much won't think twice about people losing their employment. So when corporations become too greedy and too powerful, the government should step in to keep them in line. Which also leads me to say that there should be laws that protect people's jobs and standard of living, and we should not pursue a highly protectionist policy because that is what got us into the 2008 recession. The centrist view of saying this is that there should be more government regulations in some areas and less in others. That is the closest thing we can have to a utopian society. In conclusion, I want to say that centrism is indeed the truest form of democracy, while the left and the right are pretty much the same. They both have dictatorial ambitions. I constantly hear political activists talking about how they want to eradicate the other side of the political spectrum.
People who are threatening the democratic bedrock of our country and freedom. The GOP presidential candidates?
I will be back tomorrow with some ideas of how your average American can contribute to the destruction of modern-day progressivism, using what we know about them and what we discussed today.
As I said earlier, people with a certain party are more likely to side with their own party, even if they know it's wrong. With no opposition, you will only have a totalitarian government with no debate and no dialogue. We already know what far-right dictatorships look like, and we know they will only oppress the people with nationalist or ideological policies for their own gain. Furthermore, they cannot get anything constructive done. Take Brexit as an example. The Leave leaders know it won't work out, and they've known from the very start.
Between those on their side who speak of nothing but fear of the consequences of leaving the EU, and we on our side who offer hope. Between those who have been endlessly rubbishing our country and running it down, and those of us who believe in Britain. They say we can't do it. We say we can. They say we have no choice but to bow down to Brussels. We say they are woefully underestimating this country and what it can do.
The Leave vote has left us with a group of leaders who, having lit the fire, have all run away, saying someone else can clear up the mess. The Prime Minister who put us in the mess has resigned. Everybody is gone. All the people that put their cross down for Leave saying this is what we want, they seem to be getting a group of people who say we can't stop immigration, we can't give 350 million, oh, and by the way, there might be quite a lot of austerity. Sorry, bye.
Social justice warriors have already given us a taste of how a liberal dictatorship would look like by making your own thoughts a crime if you didn't agree with them and would label you as a bigot in the event you spoke out against them, which could pretty much damage you for the rest of your life. Feminists have gone on a tirade calling for men to be castrated or put in zoos, which has maybe even permanently destroyed the reputation of feminism worldwide. Many minorities have made white people feel so alienated in their own countries, making them feel guilty or something they never did, and making them feel ashamed just for the fact that they were born white. And what really pisses me off is how they go on their little speeches calling for white genocide, which is the exact reason why so many people, including myself, want an ethno-nation with only white people. So if we're going to eliminate any side, let's eliminate both the left and the right, so their elements will still exist in the center, and at least there will still be debate and dialogue.
In a government that puts problem solving first, instead of being dominated by extremists on the left and the right. What would it take to get that kind of government? A lot less than you might think. The key is electing a handful of centrist, independent leaders.
I think we're going to get a whole new crop of political leaders out of this chaos, and I hope some new political movements as well. As I've been saying for a year now, if you're an old school liberal, then an old school conservative is no longer your enemy. I really think a new center can arise from this.